Hello and welcome to this edition of Realm Talks to. In this episode, I'm really pleased to be joined by David Owen, Director at Oliver Co Solicitors, a legal 500 firm based in Chester, and only one of a handful of law firms in the Northwest that have become employee owned. So looking forward to hearing more about that today. Welcome, David.
Hello, welcome to you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for joining us. So I guess to begin with, could you just maybe talk us through the decision behind adopting an employer ownership model at Oliver Co and how you came to that decision?
Yeah, I suppose it was part of our succession planning strategy. Myself and Kay Cook, who were the two shareholders at the time, we had to consider what we're going to do for the future. We'd been at the company for over 20 years, and so there were a couple of options. You could go for a sale to a third party, or employee ownership suddenly appeared as an option. So having considered it, we thought being employee owned was a great way of passing the firm effectively back to the employees. They'd help make the firm what it was, and so it seemed a really fair way of effectively disposing of the firm. In terms of a management buyout, which was an option that involved people having to go scrambling around for cash, and the other option was a sale to a third party, and quite often you get the third party which comes in and basically they will impose their values and their culture on you, the smaller firm. So we really wanted to retain the culture of the firm, and the way of doing that we felt was to pass the firm back to the employees, who, as I say, have made the firm what it is today.
That's brilliant, and I think that is something that we're hearing a lot, that firms kind of get to a stage where they have to think about succession, and the fact that this is now an option just feels like the right fit for some firms, and kind of that idea of being able to pass the firm on instead of, I'm sure there's horror stories that we all hear of in terms of like mergers and things like that, and I guess it's because you're really proud of the culture that you've built there at the firm, and it's something that you really kind of want to retain and know that's kind of a legacy, I guess, as you and the other partners move on.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd, as I say, worked really hard on the culture, on creating a happy work environment. Happy employees normally, hopefully, means happy clients. So it's really important to us to retain that culture and the Oliver Co brand really going forwards, which would, as I say, could get sucked up or lost with a trade sale.
Yeah, and I guess it's important to, you mentioned clients there, happy clients. It's important to your clients, I guess, that have been working with your firm for, years and years, I'm sure, that the firm does kind of stay intact in terms of, its structure and its values and kind of the service it offers. So I guess there's also the clients that you'll be loyal to, as well as your employees as well.
Yeah, I mean, very positive feedback from clients, and certainly, potential new clients who realise that we're employee owned. Some already, we've seen some clients come to us because we're employee owned. They like the fact, they think, they're going to get some, I suppose, improved client service, because obviously everyone, from the first port of contact to the people, the more senior people, are all invested. They'll all get shares of profits. So clients, I think, know that. They know about the John Lewis model. Lots of people have heard about that, and they're quite intrigued, and it is quite innovative, I think, for a law firm to become employee owned.
That's really, really interesting, and something I've not sort of heard or thought about before, actually, is that idea that clients work with businesses not just because of what they offer, but why they offer it. And I think that idea that you've actually won new clients because of you becoming employee owned is a really interesting concept. I think that would be also of interest, I'm guessing, to a lot of other firms as well. And how have your we've talked a little bit about it, but could you tell us a little bit more about how your existing team has reacted to the change and how it's benefited them?
Yeah, well, it's really positive. Everyone's taken it very positively. I mean, the benefits obviously are in terms of a profit share. They get to have a share of the profit. So once everything else has been paid off in the firm, then employees will get if a profit share is declared, they will get an equal share of the profits. And before Christmas, we had a profit share payment, and there's no income tax that's paid on the first £3,600 of a profit share payment during any 1 year. So that's a significant benefit to them really, as well as they have elected 5 employee representatives. So two of those now will have an opportunity to come to trustee meetings, which take place once a quarter, and put forward views that hopefully help improve the firm. So it's twofold really. There's a cash benefit which affects people in the pocket, so it was nice for them to have that cash payment just before Christmas, and we've got the cost of living and inflation and all of that at the moment, and then also more of a say, so financially, and more of a direct say in the running of the business are two big benefits to them, and they've taken that on board, and as I say, there's been absolutely fantastic feedback.
That sounds, brilliant. And you're right, obviously the cost of living is something that's on everyone's minds. So I'm sure the team has been really motivated by the idea of that money, that tax-free money in their pockets. That makes complete sense. Do you think that, have you seen, or do you expect to see, because of that, sort of increased productivity, and that would then presumably then have an impact on profitability? So do you kind of see this to be like a core sort of driving factor in the success of the firm in years to come?
Yeah, I mean, we are becoming, I suppose we started off as a small family firm many years ago, and it's got bigger and bigger. So I think we're already becoming more professional in terms of, we've got trustees. We have an external trustee who's a managing partner of the first law firm that became employee owned. We have a chartered accountant who helps us with the setting targets and looking at our finances, which we've tended to do in-house before. So we've become more professional, and so the setting of targets that everyone's going to buy in, we're involving all the staff with the targets that we're going to set. And then they can see the rewards if those targets are met, and everyone can work as a team towards achieving those targets. So we certainly think profitability will improve because we're going to have increased engagement, hopefully increased loyalty, and hopefully recruitment as well. We'll be able to attract staff through having a totally different type of model.
That's really interesting. I think it's interesting to think of this, I guess, from that perspective of it not only being a succession plan and a solution to that, but also a real catalyst, it sounds like, in terms of bringing the firm into its next phase of growth. So it's kind of like a twofold positive, I guess, isn't it?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I think that is sort of the David and Kay era is probably, well, it's not completely over because we're still here in senior positions, but it's almost like it feels the firm should now move to the next level. So with external people such as accountants and former managing partners of successful law firms having an input into the running of the firm really, then we can certainly aim for bigger and better things really.
With yourself and your partner, I guess, as then caretakers of that process and caretakers.
Absolutely. I mean, we've seen the firm evolve over the last 20 years and seen it change beyond recognition. I remember the days of typewriters, showing my age there, but it really it has evolved. But it's still got a lot of evolving to do and still a lot of improvement, but I think most firms would probably say that. So we think, as I say, getting the engagement of all the staff, involving them. We've been having presentations where we've got 3 floors here where myself and 1 or 2 others have gone onto each floor, and we've talked about what it means to be employee owned, and we've not just made the announcement and carried on. We've sort of had a continuing sort of involvement, talks with the staff to keep them fully informed as to exactly what's happening. And we've had leadership development training, so all the heads of departments have been involved in leadership development training, which was carried out by the former managing partner of the first law firm that became employee owned. So a lot's happened in the last few months, and as I say, we aim to hopefully grow the turnover and grow the profit of the firm.
So it sounds like it's been a real process then. It's not obviously just something that there was a switch that was flicked overnight and you became employee owned. It's been a real process, and you've really sort of to the benefit of the whole process taken your team along with you on that journey. And I think that point about not just telling them once, but continuing that communication and bringing in people that have had experience of this exact transition, I guess, has been really important to that process.
Yeah, absolutely. Keeping everyone engaged so that it's not just a little bit of a fad. Oh, we've become employee owned. It's important, I think, this is what we've been advised, is really little steps. You don't just, do drastic things too quickly.
A little bit of change management.
Yeah. Well, in terms of the management, effectively what happens is the owners, which would be myself and Kay, we give up control because the firm's become 100% employee owned. So we've given over control, but it's in the interests of the firm that we stay involved, certainly for a period of time, to help the transition to employee ownership. And obviously we have a good idea and a good understanding of how the firm has evolved over the years. So it's passing on that knowledge and guiding and steering others that are becoming more senior in the path forwards, really.
It must be so satisfying for you to see that happen, yourself and Kay. It must be so satisfying to kind of see the people that have worked for you, I guess, for all these years, or with you at least, kind of stepping up and taking that next step with your help. It must be a very rewarding feeling for you.
Oh, absolutely. And we've seen, as I say, we have to, it's not just myself and Kay now. We can't just make decisions ourselves. We have an interim management board at the moment. So it's a couple of directors that have come onto that board. So, seeing how they're progressing, and other heads of departments have progressed as they've involved their teams with what has happened. And try to get them more engaged, having team meetings, looking at ideas, and getting the ideas of all the employees really within their departments. All employees can certainly help with the costs of a firm in terms of turning lights off and using less paper, that sort of thing, which people become more aware of. But I feel that all employees can also help with business development. Family members and friends moving house, wanting to make a will, having had an accident, they're going to be far more likely to try and persuade those people to at least have a conversation with us before going elsewhere. So that increased engagement is great. So seeing how some of the heads of departments have developed and brought their teams along is it's very satisfying.
Yeah, another great point there, I think, in kind of almost turning all of your employees even further into ambassadors and champions, I guess, of the firm. And you're right, if it's, directly going to be going back into their pocket, I guess it gives them more ownership over the success of the firm, doesn't it? And sort of empowers them and holds them more accountable for doing things like that. We touched on recruitment earlier, and I think that's a really important point. And we know as a recruitment consultancy that people going into well, first of all, firms that have a happy, engaged, productive team are going to be more likely to be able to attract the talent that is right for their business. And the firms that communicate very well what the culture and the values are of their business, and kind of what their what we call the employer value proposition, communicating that to the market is going to mean that they attract the right people that who have the right values and the right culture fit. And we know that that people going into those firms are going to be more sort of happy and productive in themselves, have better well-being, progress faster. So in terms of how you see this kind of fitting in with your recruitment strategy, has it already positively impacted your ability to recruit, and do you kind of see that as something that will continue to develop in the future?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think at the moment it's probably too early to say. We've only become employee owned on the 18th of October of last year, so we're not 6 months down the line yet. But certainly the early signs are extremely encouraging. Whenever we've interviewed someone in recent months, they love the fact that we're employee owned, and I think we feel that if we make an offer, they're far more likely to accept that offer as a result of us being employee owned than if we were not employee owned. So it's certainly helping when we're interviewing candidates, and it's really, I suppose, more of a marketing thing for us, really, in terms of we've got to try and get the message out there that we are employee owned, which we are trying to do, and
we'll try and help with that.
Say, yeah, and by doing that, as I say, then people got the opportunity then to hopefully come for an interview and see what they think, because we are the first law firm in Chester to be employee owned, and I think we're the biggest in the Northwest to be employee owned. So I'm sure firms are going to follow and become employee owned, but I like to think we've got a bit of a head start on it. And as I say, I do think lots of other firms will follow. So so for those people who are maybe, it's not going to be a top-down sort of structure where there's just going to be orders coming in from the top. There has to be a little bit of steering, doesn't it, for the firm in the right direction. But it's very much going to be, departments will be involving everyone in the discussions as to how to make the departments more profitable. So a lot more engagement. So it's getting that message across to prospective candidates, and to get it out in the market there that there is a different law firm, and there are a few different law firms out there that operate in a different way. And how many trainee lawyers are going to get a profit share? Paralegals are going to get a profit share. So for me, it does set us apart and the other employee owned law firms from the others out there, because they are going to have some significant benefits.
Yeah, and they're not going to have to wait 20 years or so, whatever it would be, to get to get to the stage where they would not only have a profit share, but I guess, as you said earlier, that say in the direction of the business, and kind of real autonomy within the business.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And what else do you think, apart from this, kind of sets Oliver & Co apart as an employer? We've talked about your culture and your values and sort of the bit of the history of the firm and where it's come from, and it sounds like a great place to work. Why do you think people love working for you, and what kind of sets you apart?
Well, we try and work out whether people are Oliver & Co, which is, are they going to be friendly, loyal, enthusiastic? Those would probably be 3 Oliver & Co characteristics. I mean, in terms of benefits we have very generous holidays. We have 28 days annual leave on top of bank holidays. So we do simple things like free fruit. We have seminars for financial well-being and health and nutrition. We've had external people come in and give talks to the employees on those areas. We want to provide an environment whereby employees feel challenged and are happy and have fulfilling employment. And we place a huge emphasis on personal development. So there's lots of training. We're in quite a few networking groups. We try and encourage paralegals, trainee solicitors to get out and go to the networking group, so that it's not just about studying in the books. It's actually meeting people, doing presentations. So yeah, big emphasis on that at our firm as well. So we do think we have got a lot of good points that we already had, very positive points prior to being employee owned, which we can now work upon and improve and add other points as we go forwards.
Definitely. It sounds to me like a place where maybe you're not just able to have a career, but you're able to have a life as well, and kind of having that work-life balance and kind of the well-rounded experience, I guess, of enjoying going to work and liking your colleagues and having lots of time, as you say, kind of going out and meeting with businesses, people in the community, and kind of developing those well-rounded skills that'll set you apart for the future, I think.
Well, that's absolutely right. Networking is huge. So we try and encourage I didn't do it when I was younger, and I think I missed a trick. So I think it's great for the younger members of staff to go out at a really early age and network. I mean, we also have a social committee that arranges events. Next week, at the end of this month, there's a social, people meeting for drinks to go out. So you're right, it is that sort of work-life balance, and people, people become very good friends here, and those friendships continue, whether people move to different firms or whatever. You spend a lot of time at work, so it's absolutely great, isn't it, if you get on with those colleagues and can have a really positive working relationship with people.
Definitely. You were probably sat behind your typewriter, weren't you? That's probably why you weren't out at networking events.
Yeah, it was dictated machines, it was, and then the typewriter. I can remember that, and I can remember having a secretary on a typewriter typing a will. And of course, you made a mistake. You have to rip up the will and start again. It was unbelievable. And I can remember those days. That's quite scary, isn't it?
The sorts of thing that trainees now won't believe, I'm sure.
No, I know.
That's great. I mean, at Relmar, vision is for all lawyers to be matched with the right firms. So I think that is it's really great that you can so clearly articulate what makes someone an Oliver and Co team member and kind of what they get in return. You do a lot of fundraising as well, I think, as a team as well. And is it important for you? I'm getting a real sense of community about your firm, and is it important to the firm to sort of give back into that community?
Yeah, absolutely. We set up a corporate social responsibility committee quite a few years ago now, and that's sort of again developed and evolved so that we have representatives from most departments involved in that committee, and they meet on a regular basis. And yeah, there's a genuine desire of the company and the employees to give back, to have a positive impact upon employees, the environment and the community. So we have a Charity of the Year which gets nominated by the employees every year, and then we hold a number of events to raise money for that Charity of the Year. We'll have a charity quiz, we'll have cake sales, we had an exercise bike challenge, lots of people get involved. There's the opportunity for lots of people to get involved. We've had people doing volunteering for charities. So yeah, as I say, that's all born out of a genuine desire for Oliver & Co to give back, really, and the employees to give back.
Brilliant. And I mean, apart from the spin charity classes that it seems that you're hosting, tell us something that we wouldn't already know about Oliver and Co.
Well, I mean, that's quite a difficult question, really. In terms of, we have had some absolutely incredible settlements in medical negligence and industrial disease, some of the biggest settlements in the country. But probably what we're probably most proud of is that I think over the last 5 years we've given over £130,000 to charity and donated to 27 different charities. So it's that giving back, I think, that stands out for us, and people probably don't quite know the figures and the amount of charities that have been supported.
No, that's amazing. So not just giving back on the charity side, but again, that kind of the impact of those settlements, presumably on the lives of the people that you're working for.
Absolutely, and I sort of say, because they weren't just average settlements, they were absolutely huge in the areas, and we actually think, but for confidentiality reasons, you can't really talk about the cases, but we think they were the probably some of the biggest settlements ever in legal history. So yeah, I mean, that's obviously on the legal side, and the giving back also. In terms of the figures, when we tot up, we keep a record of the figures. So when we tot up the actual amount that we've raised for charities over the year, shows a real desire of the employees here to give, really, and to give up time and money.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for joining me today to talk more about Oliver and Co, your employee ownership model, and telling us some of the other things that maybe we didn't perhaps know about the firm before. So I've really enjoyed speaking to you, and I think I can safely say that's been a job very much well done for yourself and Kay. So thank you very much for joining us.
No, thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak.
Brilliant. Thank you.